Let's go! Who's up next?
Greetings, Kooplings, and welcome back. Oh, wrong show. Nope, that's not this show. That was, I wanted that to be a better joke, and then I kind of bailed on it there at the last second. Welcome, listeners of the Xbox Empire, to an emergency broadcast of the Xbox Empire, the weekly flagship of Xbox news on the PSVG Podcast Network. My name is Donnie Reese, co-host of this show. Kevin is not here tonight, but I am not flying solo. No, not at all. Sean Capri is with me from the Xbox Drive. What's happening, Sean?
I'm here for my tri-weekly commitment. I don't think it's a bi-weekly or a weekly. I think it's like every third week's other one removed. I'm back. It's an emergency podcast. I can't, you know what? We could have done the emergency like at 12 o'clock last night. You could have called me up at 12 o'clock last night as things were starting to break. You're like, we need to podcast. Like, you're absolutely right. Things are happening, and they continue to happen for the last 24 hours.
It's been exciting, and my entire computer is going bananas. So
it's gonna work. It's gonna work.
I apologize. I'm having all kinds of issues.
I got your back.
I opened the stream and like our overlay wasn't set like it was before I did it because it did the same thing it was doing earlier. Oh well, what a mess. Okay, anyway, let's get started. I do want to thank everybody that supports the show over at patreon.com/PSVG. Thank you, Callow, Barry Cathcart, Josh, the Bonesaw Borboni, Chris McElfresh, Devin Tice, Kyle Hammond, Paul Calico, Michael Masick, Zach Bradshaw, the Egg Shin himself, Nick Fallhaber, Rude Days 93, and Rob Emanuel. This has been a really fun day for me. Mm-hmm. Not only did we have incredible announcements like across the board, but I love tracking the leaks. I love tracking the rumors, and I've had a mouthful of that tonight. And we're even starting a little later than I was expecting because I actually got to spend the last 2 hours hanging out with Chase Stadia Talks over at This Week on Stadia with his co-hosts Eddie and Kai. And I had a blast talking about Xbox, talking about Stadia, what it means for cloud gaming, and all that jazz. So, Sean, I reached out. I said, Kev, we need to try and record today because folks that know me from Nintendo Shack know that I like recording a timely response when we have big news. Mm-hmm. I think that's the most fun moments you can have when you're podcasting. I was like, oh, we gotta record if we can. Kev, can you record? And as listeners of the show might expect, Kev was like, no, you go record. I don't think the news did much to excite Kevin, or maybe I'm just rereading wrong. Kevin's been very busy. He's building like this studio in his basement, so he was like,
when you have a day locked down, if it's Wednesday's the day, it's tough to change it.
Oh, for sure.
Tuesday.
Oh, for sure.
I get it.
I was excited because I thought that this announcement of the Xbox Series S would really appeal to Kevin, and maybe it didn't. I don't know. Like I think of all the consoles, I think it's weird. It's not weird with Kevin. It's just it's an acute case because I think Xbox registers maybe at the bottom of his like priority, like in terms or like his fandom, his enthusiasm. But I actually think he might play Xbox the most.
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of people. They don't even realize like how much they game on this thing or they could.
It's because we're game share partners and everything like that. You know, like even he was like, yeah, I don't, like he's not as excited for their properties and things like that. But he, he totally plays all that and we share all the stuff and all the things. So yeah, I was excited and I'm sure we'll get his take on this news on the PSVG Prime show and he'll be back next week. But he told me, go ahead. If you can record, go ahead. So I reached out and obviously Sean Capri, the Xbox Drive, these two Xbox crossplay, cross promotion, and we're doing all the things. So, Sean, you kicked us off and you started it correctly last night around midnight, 12:30, I think. Brad Sams leaked the Xbox Series S. It leaked, like full leak, like launch date leak, price leak, what it does leak. Shortly thereafter, we had video. it was really, really awesome that I both was up late and woke up early.
Yeah.
Because I've had a time.
I was up all
Twitter.
night, dude. I was up until 2:00 in the morning.
Same.
Tracking some of this stuff.
Same. Just doing all the retweets, finding all the information I can, and to be honest with you, having a blast. I haven't had this much fun socially regarding Xbox in a long time. So let's break down the news. Brad Sams leaks the Xbox One S. We got a picture of the console. It is white. It looks like the One S now, but there is a black grill on the top of it that's quite large in a circle. So it gives this a black accent.
A big Oreo on top.
Yeah.
If you will.
Looks like a
the memes
speaker.
are amazing.
Looks
Boombox.
like boombox.
Boombox.
I put the DJ Hero on it, trying to get into the meme game.
Oh, I love it.
I was
love
like,
that.
you just
somebody
DJ
put a
Hero?
DiGiorno picture. DiGiorno put it on there. Like KFC put it up as like the speaker for the drive-through. There's like it's sitting there, McDonald's and everything. There's actually if you don't mind, there's a great rundown. Jack Appleby at Juicebox CA had a great rundown. He just kind of said he launched into this tweet thread and he goes, Major Xbox Elite was handled masterfully on social media right in the middle of the night. He jumps into it, says at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the situation. Everything was leaked. He breaks it down. Like this is when the Brad Sams thing came out, and then it hit blogs everywhere. Windows Central picked it up. Everything had the picture. $299, this ugly looking grill thing, and then at 2:07, Xbox's quick meme, and they had the little. I don't even know what this little like.
I don't know what
fuzzy little
that
Muppet
thing character. I don't know where that's from.
It's just the look is amazing. And then just over an hour after that, they confirm it.
They confirmed it. All right. So first things first, I'm going to get your reaction to the look. What do you think about it?
My first reaction was that first picture from Brad Sams. I thought it's got to be the worst angle. We all have our bad angles, Donnie. Like I like my front on angle. I think like to the side, like I don't look so hot. But this one is the same thing. That black circle looks really, really weird. But I've since seen it from a couple of different angles. And when I really started to turn the tide was when I saw it fit inside the Series X. There must be some sort of video that they're going to be revealing any minute now, comparing the two systems and kind of like going over the layout. When I saw how small it was, how compact it was, it's kind of like what I had in mind when I was thinking about how can you get some sort of like Game Pass machine out to as many people as possible.
Sure. It's
this super small, like basically it looks like a SAT edition. So I like it. I think it looks pretty sweet, man, like overall. And no disk drive as well.
No disk drive. I can't believe it's their smallest Xbox. Like I was shocked.
They keep making small stuff, man.
Yeah, and then they're really pushing it. I think the accent on top is literally just to distinguish it from the current One S and the SAT. I
agree.
That's all
and
it
the
is.
SAT.
They're like, we can't release these. They look too much alike. So we've got to do something. I have seen different accents. I wish they would have done the grill with the green that the Series X has.
Right. Yeah.
That on a black or a white would have offset this in a way that it currently doesn't. I agree. If you lay it down horizontally and you put it in your console, you're not going to be staring like right at the top of it. I don't think it really matters. I think it. So the way a console looks, as I've talked about ad nauseum, a lot with regarding to the PlayStation 5, it does matter to me.
I agree.
Like I don't want to look at something that I think looks ridiculous. So, and I think this standing up kind of looks a little weird. Like it is like the only reason they're putting it at that awkwardly
angle.
Slim and tall. It's like it's not wide enough or short enough to be what I think it should be.
Yeah. I think it looks sweet, man. It's just a weird. They have to highlight that angle, that accent of it, because any other look at it, it looks like any other Xbox.
Yeah,
and that's totally fine. But yeah, man, I think it looks fine. But I tweeted out kind of like and people called me out for being defensive about it because like when the PS5 came out, of course, right? The PS5 came out and it's like this monster. It's just absolute beast, and I don't think it looks good. It looks like a router. I don't think it looks good at all. And everybody's like, "Oh, who cares? It doesn't matter what these consoles are looking like. I care a lot.
Yeah,
dude.
I care a lot. I don't want the PlayStation 5 sitting in my room. It's going to look so out of place.
Have we already forgotten the PS3? Like, do you remember having that sitting around? Like, it was monstrous. It was gigantic.
That's
it looked
true. The piano
accidental.
one.
Yeah. It looked ridiculous. It was a spaceship. It looked like a Chrysler Intrepid.
And this is way more.
And it's bigger. Yeah. So, and I like my One X. I think the One X is like one of the best looking consoles ever made. I like the PS4, the original PS4. I had a white one, the Destiny one, the Glacier White. I thought that looked really good. I like it when they look slick.
Yeah.
So this one isn't like this one isn't offensively bad because I'm never going to be looking at the top. Yeah. But it's like, I like the form factor. I like how small that is. I think that's really great. And that they have this next gen, and we'll maybe get into like the specific specs about it, but they're calling this the next gen console.
Yep.
But in the smallest box. I think that's really interesting.
It's interesting the way that size. The message for both of these couldn't be like further different from each other.
I agree.
The Series X is the most powerful console in the world. Mm-hmm. And then this one, like they were talking about today, like how you could put it in a backpack. And I was like,
right.
Why is anybody like who's taking consoles around in
They should have just made it the GameCube. They should have like that.
I like the half. Yeah, no, mm-hmm. I was with you there. I like that idea more. Because then it would have looked like one of like your Google Pods or something, like your Amazon Echoes and things like that. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about the specs and the price. The price is $299. They leaked that the price was $299. It will come via Xbox All Access with a $25 a month option. That is $25 a month for 2 years, 24 months, where you get a brand new next gen Xbox console and Game Pass Ultimate paid for. Now, I was pointing this out earlier in the direct or in the Discord. You save money on this deal. So 2 years.
You did the math on it.
Yeah, 2 years of Game Pass is $360. The console's $300. If you do the All Access, you get both for $600.
Did they say if it's Game Pass Ultimate with it or just Game Pass for Xbox?
I don't know. I just assumed it was Ultimate. I don't know. That was the math I did.
I would have assumed that as well. But I want to clarify that for sure.
It's worth pointing out. But yeah, so the All Access option is one that I continue to glance over because I don't care about it because I have my Xbox One money. As I continue to point out, I have my Xbox savings jar full of cash. Where I've been
Mine's my safe. I've got the gift cards in a safe. But this is the thing, man. This is really interesting, both for Xbox and for PlayStation, or maybe even like who knows what Nintendo's going to be doing pretty soon here too. Like I'm right with you. I saw the All Access thing, like awesome, that's great for other people, and then I'm like, wait a second, like I could actually like put the money I've got saved towards something else, and then just kind of like finance this thing. And to your point, like it's not like I'm at a loss for it. Like there's almost no reason not to do it.
Yeah,
because it's actually like financially speaking, like I don't know, I'm not a professional.
Because it's not an interest thing. You're not like
it's not like, interest, right?
Yeah, it's not like a credit deal. You're not paying interest. It's not like you're missing out on money because you're offloading the cost. So if you just don't want to come out of pocket all at once, there really is no downside to this.
Right?
it is all gain.
And they just want you locked in. That's
Ryan is in the chat and he says it is ultimate. So you are getting ultimate with Xbox. So you are getting like 4 free months just by going All Access.
Yeah,
you're saving money versus somebody who's buying out of pocket and then buying. So that's weird. Like I was even thinking the same thing earlier. I was like, why am I just giving them all the money up front?
I'm seriously thinking about it. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, well then what am I going to do with that cash? And like, is it better to just kind of like get this done with? And who knows what's going to happen in the future? I mean, there's so many considerations.
My thing is very acute. And I don't want to spend too much time on this point, but you know that I have Xbox Game Pass locked up for 3 years and I have codes that are stashed. I don't know how that works with All Access. Like if I walk up to them and they're like, here, we're going to sign you up for All Access or we're going to sign you up for Game Pass. It's like, oh, I'm good. Like, do I get codes? What happens then? Like, because I can't get more.
Yeah. I don't know. That'll be, I mean, you should try just to see what happens.
Just to see what happens.
I mean, we haven't seen, okay, so they officially confirmed it. They saw the leaks. Everything was like out on the table. And then they said, yeah, $299 is the thing. What I'm curious about is something that I've been talking about on this show and on the Xbox Drive for a long time, which is either for the Series S or the Series X, for them to have a big $0 sign. Like you see when you can get a new iPhone or whatever it is, like you can get this thing for $0
out the door today.
And then you sign up for your 2-year deal. Because I feel like that is going to be such a huge
no payments
mover.
For 3 months.
Something like that. Yeah, totally. Like it's just like buying a couch, but it's now buying like the most powerful console. I feel like, I don't know if I'm just reading too much into this or maybe people aren't like into it. I feel it's just, there's options for everybody.
There really is.
I was talking to a lot of people today about a lot of different stances on stuff. And some people were like, I absolutely would not sign up for a monthly deal on this.
Yep.
And it's like, why not? Like, okay.
That's me.
But like,
I'm kind of that way.
Why?
It's like, I don't want to. Just because I feel
principally against it.
No, I'm not. I just think it's like a commitment versus I could just take care of this now.
Sure.
Never
so
have
you
to
could
worry about it. Yeah. Yeah.
So go do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, great. It's like, it just seems like they keep saying this and it sounds so like on brand. It sounds like we're almost just like paid to say it, but they talk about having the customer at the center of everything. And it's like, they really do. They are really thinking about like you who has cash saved up. They look at somebody else who's like, they don't know like if they can save, they can't save up for this kind of thing. They're not like putting anybody in a tough spot with this.
Right.
And that's just a $25 option. There's other stuff that I think they confirmed the Series X. I don't want to jump ahead of ourselves too far. But there's a $35 option as well.
There's a $35 option confirmed for the Series X. And it has been rolled out with all this news from Eurogamer, from VentureBeat, and Windows Central. Central. I would believe it. Let's talk about the console. Man, I'm really excited. All right, hang on a second. Before we talk about the console, I want to talk about something that you vocalized quite early today. You'd mentioned, or you didn't mention, but you had retweeted that you were a little upset to see that it leaked, and versus Xbox having the opportunity to, I guess, to put on an event.
Okay, so yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. Thanks for the only when I really saw somebody speak to it from their own experience is really when I kind of like pause and put myself in somebody else's shoes to go, that would really suck. My stance is still not that it shouldn't be leaked. If somebody is able to get this scoop and do it, I believe they should do it. But I also believe that is probably going to hurt somebody's feeling, or a team of people. I feel like that's probably going to hurt. And I felt for those people. And it's just like, I'm not trying to say that one thing should happen or the other thing shouldn't happen. All I'm saying is just like, just for a moment.
We had people in Discord saying the same thing.
Well, but I feel like some people kind of take it almost too far, so like recognizing you can say that, but
the thing that I wanted to say was, I don't think it's not important to point out that for the first time in 7 months, when Xbox news went out without Xbox marketing getting involved, it hit, and it hit well.
And just like the breakdown of the Series X itself, it's like when they kind of get out of the way, it actually is landing a little bit better.
Every time that they've promised too much or shot the gun or hyped people up, tomorrow changes the game or anything like that, they have kind of fallen on their face. Like, for all that Xbox has been doing great for 2 years, it's like, it's hard pressed not to be a fan and have an Xbox show sitting here week after week. What are you doing? Stop.
Well, and I think you said they waited too long, and that's that's kind of where my argument, if I had an argument, is completely out the window. You're absolutely right. Like, this could have been, but this seemed like this was a counterpunch ready to go. But today, or I guess it's in the last 24 hours, it launched as like its own thing. And it would have been such a great, like, I kind of always wanted, as an Xbox fan, I wanted PlayStation to jump first. I wanted them to come out with a $550 disc one, $499 discless, and then for like a Series S to come out with something around $299. I felt like that would have been just this amazing, like, they almost could have done like what PlayStation did to Sega back in the day. They just walk in, they just go $299, and they walk away. Like, that would have been unbelievable.
I did say they waited too long. Also, we should point out, I know a lot of people are speculating. I myself speculated last night, overnight. I was speculating this was a controlled leak, that this was being presented. The fact that they had assets made me think that somebody wanted it to be out there. That has all been squashed by everybody that I think has a say in the matter. We've seen Xbox marketing folks from top, not just the exec, all the way down the team saying like, no, this was not. Somebody pulled this off our site. They got access to it. They weren't supposed to have it. Seen Eurogamer corroborate that. Tom Warren corroborated that. The Verge corroborated that. Everybody's like 100%. We got this information not from Microsoft. So I would believe them at their word. I don't think this was a controlled leak. Yeah. And I got to say, if you're upset that it leaked, like if you're on the team, don't put your stuff like, people they're hounding every single thing they can to find it. This is the most sought after information that like an entire $1 billion industry has, and they're sitting on it. You think people aren't trying to exploit
this? Will be you getting this should be you getting into the gaming industry. You should leave whatever you're, stop being like secret security for whatever, like coronavirus and the Super Bowls and whatever. Get some security
crisis
around
manager
these
at Xbox
assets. Exactly. Or just like these marketing teams, whatever passwords they got, password 1 on the Last of Us trailers.
Ultimately, like, my big point, like, one, it hit. It's not like it did a disservice to the product. Like, it hit well today. The second,
it's just a matter of timing.
Like nobody was hurt by the leak. Like,
I think it's too soon to tell that. I agree that today it's great. And depending on what PlayStation has, and like everybody's talking about like one is going to go first, and then like would they actually change it? I remember like there's a lot of conversations happening back in the PS4 and the Xbox One launch when Xbox came out and they're like Kinect is included and it's required, and then everybody was like, okay, well PlayStation saw that and they removed the PlayStation camera out of the thing. Like they changed the configuration. It's like, and what the conversations were happening back then was that's not possible. It's too quick. So I'm always curious. I feel like we should refresh that thought a little bit here as everybody's going like this game of chicken. So they go $299. Are they able to make like that's a?
I've been tracking a rumor all day trying to find any confirmation that there exists a digital version of the Series X. I've seen it speculated. I've seen many people that I would say, I mean, I wouldn't use them as sources to write it, but they're popular influencers that would have access.
What is that third? There's 3 code
Edinburgh.
names. Oh, Edinburgh, yeah, like Scotland.
Yep.
Yeah. You're right. So we don't know what that is. That could be like, would they have its own code?
I don't think it is. I want to be clear. I don't think that's that. But there is a lot of speculation that, PlayStation could go $5.99, $3.99, and Xbox could go, $3.99 too. They could just price across the board. I don't think so. But who knows? Like, we don't know. And to your point,
I just think they're set. I feel like the prices are set because they can't go even $50 or $100 times 10 million units.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of money. That's a huge cash swing.
You don't make those decisions like willy-nilly.
Based on like, they're cheaper.
Yeah, you don't do that.
I don't think so. Also, so I think it's more about like who lands that last punch.
In terms of how flexible they are, these things haven't shipped yet. By all accounts, from like everybody that's trying to find them and several folks that work at Best Buy and GameStop, like they don't have them. They're not sitting on them. That's leading many people to explain how difficult it will be to get 2 million of them by November 10th. Like
is that normal? Is that what Kevin's saying? Is it normal to have them by now though? Like would they be sitting?
Yes. Yep. You would have them in a warehouse. You would start stockpiling. You would start building them because here's the thing.
Interesting.
They don't just like ship from a warehouse to all the stores. They got to ship from, Xbox's warehouse where they're being stored to, Best Buy's warehouses, then broke down and distributed back out. Like we would know that they're moving. Mm-hmm. Anytime we ever have a console launch, we see this type of information. We would know that they're moving. And by all accounts and purposes, we don't. So I think that's
good point.
That's speculating a lot of the scarcity type rumor mongering that they might be hard to come by. So, I mean, I guess that's just a point to say, like, if they wanted to make changes, I mean, I guess they could. If they're not sitting on the floor, if they're not in boxes, yeah, you could. But, I mean, at this point, you can't imagine that they would. I can't imagine.
This is the volume, though. Yeah. $299 for the Series S. This is the one that's moving. Yeah. And it's funny because you can just see. This is where I kind of feel bad and kind of just like almost like Chris has been ruined. Like somebody was sending, I think, I can't remember who it was like, it's almost like peeking through your presents before Christmas morning, right? Because like once they reveal everything, you're going to see like what they had laid out, right? Because they had been spending the entire year. It's all about Series X. It's all about Series X. And this was supposed to be this, like, you didn't see this coming. Even though like the X, I think naming convention lent itself immediately to there must be a Series S.
Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to say that because we've known this was coming the whole time. Like this has been the worst kept secret forever.
But it seemed like there was a lot of like almost like over like people may have been thinking it was to get attention away from PlayStation, but it was like to draw attention is like we're all about Series X, power, and then this one is almost like to your point, like it's the antithesis of that. It's so accessible. It's who the hell cares about 4K. It's 120 frames per second. It's digital.
Hang on. I want to get to that. I'm beating around the bush because I'm trying to save the steak for later. Chris in the chat mentions that, that we do have controllers that reach stores, but those are accessories, and accessories come out before consoles. I bought my PlayStation 4 controller like 3 weeks before the stores got consoles. Like,
I mean, there's the stickers that said controllers are not to be open until November 6th, and everybody thought that was going to be the day. And a few people, I think Ryan Turford included, were like, they typically come about a week before. And to the point, even they could release it now, honestly, because it works on your Xbox. That would actually be a great idea. So release it even sooner, but they're not going to.
Let's talk about the console. Here's the funny thing. I have no intention of buying any of this, but I'm quite excited about it. Really, legit. 1440p resolution with possible frames up to 120 frames per second.
Yep.
4K upscaling checkerboarding, possible.
Yep.
4K streaming, Netflix, Amazon, possible.
Mm-hmm.
Ray tracing, possible.
That's the big one, isn't it?
Rate shading, possible. Variable refresh rate, possible. 512 gigabyte SSD, no disk drive. Xbox's smallest console. All right. I said this on the Stadia show, but I'm going to say it again for our listeners, everybody at PSVG land. My concern this entire time with the Series S would be that it would so strip down to be a Game Pass box that was cheap that people would look at it as an inferior console and it wouldn't be worth having. I never expected the Series S to do ray tracing, ever.
Me neither.
I never expected them to talk 4K because all leading up to it wasn't 4K. Here's the thing. 1440p can look beautiful.
Yeah.
The Last of Us 2 is in 1440p. Like, that is not a limitation.
Yeah.
That's perfectly doable. And then
that's kind of where I'm at.
If you add checkerboarding to it, you get to 4K. And I've said that the entire time. I know that's like a console war thing, or Xbox folks make fun of PlayStation folks. I say it all the time, like, God of War looks great. Checkerboarding or no checkerboard, I don't care. Like, what I'm playing looks amazing.
Well, and especially so, I feel like I just want to clarify before I sound like a hypocrite, because I've definitely come after like the PS4 Pro as it was positioned up against the One X as like the 4K machine. It's like, and it just wasn't. Right. And this isn't that. This is not the same thing. The PS4 Pro was positioned as the big thing. This is your upgrade. This is the tech leader who's trying to do that thing. This is the opposite of that, but you're still getting all those things. So that's why hopefully that's clear. Like, I'm celebrating in that light, where I know if I really want to spend the money and get like the big beefy thing, I got the Series X, but like this is sort of like good for this.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
No. So you get all of this for $299. It has the same memory. It has the same CPU. You will be playing next-gen games. At $299, everybody brings up, the Blue Ocean strategy, the cast a wide net type stuff, the casual gamer consumer that we all, that these companies so, typically try to go after. A $299 option compared to a $500 option is a significant difference. This is a huge difference.
It's actually cheaper than the Switch in the UK.
That's insane.
As the exchange rates have worked out.
Insane.
And actually, I believe in Canada as well.
And the Switch was like, I brought that up earlier, the Switch has been on the market for years. They're launching.
It kind of forces Nintendo to maybe do something.
They're launching a brand new generation at that price mark. And here's the thing.
Let's just say it only goes down from there.
I thought the concessions that you were going to have to make with this console was going to be way more than this.
I mean, the hard drive's a pretty big concession.
Do you think so? Because I don't.
I mean, personally,
so we can explain
okay
both sides here.
But I had a conversation with a good friend, Chris Berto, who thinks this is unforgivable. The 512 gigabyte, he took it. I would say that's the harshest stance that I saw. And then maybe like gradients.
If it was 825, would you?
That was my kind of conversation back to him. It's like, it's not that much worse than what's going on with PlayStation.
676? Like, what's the number? All right.
And it's not locked. Yeah. So
here's my issue. Or not my issue. I brought this up before in our Discord, and I'll say it again. If you are concerned about not having ready access to, I don't know, hundreds of games ready to go, ready to play, the S isn't for you. Like, this isn't the machine you should be looking for. You should be looking for the X. This machine is aimed at the person that's playing, I don't want to say a handful of games, so we can all point like Call of Duty, Madden, everything like that. But for that customer that they don't mind juggling, an install. Okay, you're playing this game now, I'm delete the old one. Kevin is the perfect example, actually. I wish he was here. Kevin has done this on Xbox One S this entire generation. He doesn't have an external. He's had 500 gigs. He deletes when he needs to delete, and he adds when he needs to add.
See, I like it. Like, I don't like having a ton of games. I get paralyzed by
I'm
completely
hoarder.
opposite of you. I know you are. Like, there's some people who got like 8 terabytes hooked up to this thing.
All of it.
But the thing is, it's the same regardless. You bring the same hard drive. You disconnect your Xbox One, you put your Series S or X in the exact same spot, and you're using all the same stuff. This is the most gentle, the easiest upgrade to the next gen that there has ever been.
You don't have to reformat.
Everything.
You don't have to hook 2 consoles up.
There's no surgery.
With a Wi-Fi. You literally just plug in your external, and it's like, here are all your games.
This is where like the whole like, this is how you share games with people, like that video they did on PlayStation. Like, just do that. This is how you upgrade to the next gen.
I gotta say, you're right. The external's working. You'll be able to play all of your last gen stuff off of it. You can still store your Xbox Series X stuff on that hard drive. You just can't play it, but you can still use it for storage. So you could just bring it over.
Yeah, man.
If you wanted to play it. So I think for the price, I don't think this is egregious at all. I think 512 is considerable. Like you can get, several first party Series X games, or first, third party, you know what I'm talking about. Big AAA published big games. You throw 10 indies on there from Game Pass and you're good to go. Like
I would say those are pretty big cost saving measures between the obviously, and I don't know enough about like the CPU counts and all those other things, but certainly the hard drive size and the disk drive as well. I feel like they're coming out ahead on this. I feel like they could have discounted it even more. There was maybe a couple people saying like this could be cheaper. Yeah, I think so. I think they're selling this. There were not selling it at a loss.
They would sell it without a controller. You could get to $249.
That'd be interesting
because people already have controllers. Like you let them trade in their console and they keep their controller and they just buy a new box and they plug in their hard drive and keep going.
Yeah, I
saw that rumored quite a bit that there would be an all access option for those that already have a controller or want to buy a used one or want to buy an Elite or whatever. You could tack it down even more.
That reminds me of the gamepad though on the Wii U. Yeah. Like just get rid of the gamepad and that thing will come down to $100. It's like, that's pretty integral to the whole thing. So,
sure.
And also this is the thing for everybody. This is going to be the leader. This is going to be, you got to imagine it's going to be bundled in with some sort of game. Yeah. It's great. I feel like it's such a winner. It is such an amazing, and also we're talking a bit of in a vacuum here because we don't know how much PlayStation is going to be.
Yep.
But this is meant to be this or even just sitting up against Switch. At $299.
It's a tough.
Is really good.
Yeah, no, I don't think Nintendo will have to move because they also have the light. And like again, Nintendo's just
they've got Zelda now.
It's so funny that we all, I think every podcast I listen to acknowledges that Nintendo's doing its own thing, but then we always loop them back into this stuff like it matters. For them, it really doesn't. It doesn't matter. Like they're just off on their own Animal Crossing island over here doing their own thing.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But it's a good point because if you're like, well, if you really are that, see, that's the other problem with that analogy, actually. No, I can't say it because I'm not going to use it because I don't think there's anybody out there that's like, do I get a Switch or do I get Xbox? Those are very different things. It basically comes down to the games you want to play. I don't think there's anybody sitting there at Best Buy like looking at both of them and be like, I don't know. It's like, I think you kind of know. Like, do you want a Mario type of experience or do you want a Madden type of experience? Like, there's very clear different options game-wise.
This is going to take a little bit of traction, I think, for that to really set in, to make a decision for somebody.
Sure.
Like, for people to go like, this is actually good. And this is like one of the first things I tweeted was, I can't wait to see the Digital Foundry breakdown. One of the first things I did, I was actually having a conversation with Jace last night, and he was giving me a little bit of trouble, a little shot and jab in the arm, because I was talking about teraflops, and he's like, it's not all about teraflops. I'm like, well, I guess I don't know anything because that's what I thought was the measure. And so I went over and saw this Digital Foundry video where they tried to compare like a 4.3 teraflop something setup to a 6, like to the Xbox One X, which is 6 teraflops, and he could find like actually comparable results. And I'm like, okay, so let's see now, like now that everything has been revealed, let's see what the breakdown is. Let's see how this thing can run. Because there's a lot of different changes on how
I've
this all works out.
I've brought this up before, so I'll try to keep it short because I do want to get into the reception of this box. But I will say this again because I think it's important that people hear it. There's a lot of people that look at raw teraflops and they will say the Xbox One X is better than the Series S, and that is wrong.
Right.
It's factually incorrect.
I would have said that before.
Jace is right. It is not all about teraflops. Teraflops is a great compute number to basically measure how many operations a computer system can perform. But it doesn't tell the whole story. And it's ultimately CPU. On our current consoles, we have Jaguar CPUs and they're a huge bottleneck. And that's what the SSD is coming into play. And that's the whole thing is like this whole new game design going away from that. And it doesn't matter how many teraflops Xbox One X is if you still have to wait for all of it to get there.
I know, but it's so weird. It's just, you have to know the narrative that you're in, the context you're diving into. It's
I understand.
12 teraflops. Like they told us what a teraflop was.
I understand. And there is logic to it. I mean, if it has more teraflops, theoretically, if all apples are apples, more teraflops means more. And for the most part, with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, they're apples to apples. They're working off very similar drives. PlayStation's faster, but same technology, very similar chips, right? Xbox's teraflop performance, its better GPU, will be measurable.
Well, and that variable rate shading, and there's another one. There's variable rate shading, and there's another one.
Variable refresh rate. They can
so those are huge.
They are huge. That's the next gen, and all of this game design is being put into those. So while the Xbox One X may be able to outperform 4K 60, the Xbox Series S, it won't be able to run those same games as efficiently as the One S can because of its architecture, because of how it's designed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the Xbox One S has several advantages over the One X. Now, the One X can still push. Like, if you ultimately are like, I want the best resolution I can, the One X can probably push better than the One S can. But the One S is going to be able to do so much more. As I was bringing up earlier, like, I don't think we have been... Neither of these companies have done a very good job of showing us how important these quality of life upgrades these new systems will offer. We've seen it demonstrated, but it's a whole separate thing to have actually in your home. Mm-hmm. I think the idea of having 5 suspense states that you can hop in and out of games, bypassing the menu, bypassing the publisher title, bypassing all of that stuff, not having to get into the game. Once we get that, we're never going to want to go back. Mm-hmm. It's going to feel like you're going back in time.
Well, and that tied with Game Pass, where you can have, like, on any given day, they'll say, here's 5 new games you can try out.
Yep.
You download them all, you flip between the 3 or 4 of them. And absolutely, man. Yeah, it just seems like it's all part of the same strategy.
I think,
and it's all like how you play.
I think once we get them and we see how fast the load times are and we see how fast everything works and how well everything works, it's not about like a new generation of raw output. It's about making the output we have now so much more smoother, so much more faster all around. That's the next gen experience.
That and how many people have the 4K? You know, there's a lot of different surveys and results going around. And something about like 30 or 33% of people have a 4K screen. Most people are still on 1080. Some people are like somewhere in between. So like this really is it's a weird time.
I thought the lack of 4K might really hold it back because that is like the current go. Like if you're going to buy a TV, 4K is plastered everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, if the S is really 1080p, like why would anybody buy that? But the fact that it's 1440p and can upscale,
I think the 120 frames is the immediate counter to that. You go, yeah, 1080 to 1440, like, but it's like 120 frames, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
like that's kind of what people want to see. And if you don't have a screen for 4K, if you can't even think about 4K 120 or even 4K 60, like I think a lot of people would say they throw up their hands. Maybe people even listening. And go, I just want to have a rock solid frame rate. I can't tell the difference between 1440 and 4K.
Yeah.
Because 1440 and then what's 4K? 2160? Right?
Yes.
Like, is that?
Yep.
I don't even know.
No, I think that's right.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Like, as much as I love knowing all the ins and outs, to be honest with you, I've said it for PlayStation for a bunch. Checkerboarding is fine. Like, if the ultimate goal is the picture is better looking, sure. Like, I don't care if you're upscaling it or if you've run magic fairy dust that makes it work or whatever. As long as I'm getting what I want at the end, that's all I care about. And we got to focus more on that, I think, than
See, and that still puts me back at, like, I'm saying all of this to celebrate the Series S. I think it's a brilliant move. I think it's totally disrupting the next gen. It's totally unexpected in a lot of ways. But I'm still a Series X. Mm-hmm. Like, there's absolutely no way that I'm not going Series X.
I have no desire to buy one of these at all.
Because given all the things that I just said, like I still have 1080p screens across my whole, like in my whole house. And same thing with the One X. I get frames out of that. I go like, it looks great. It looks the best that 1080 can look. I got all the sliders up, all the lighting, everything looks great. The textures are the best they could ever be. And I got rock solid frames. And I can have that with the Series X, with the bigger hard drive, with all of those different things.
Yep, of course.
I have no worries about that.
And I have all 4K TVs, and I just want the better box. I was always going to get the Series X. So yeah.
And the thing is on the TV front too is like how many people have how many people can do 4K 120? Is that even an option? Like the HDMI 2.1.
Those are newer TVs can, and they are slightly more expensive. Like they're affordable-ish, but they're not.
You have to look specifically for it. Like you're not going to come by that.
They're like $600. You do have to buy specific models. There are even specific like versions of models that don't have it. Like it's not as widespread as people think it is.
So my point is that's the reason I'm going to go Series X is because at some point in time, maybe in the next year or so, I will upgrade to that and I'll be ready.
Yep.
I don't want to like handcuff myself with the Series S.
So I want to talk about the reception to this first and foremost. Consider me stunned by the amount of positive reception that I've seen from this leak. Again, Xbox marketing since that May event has kind of been a mess.
Yeah.
And at every step along the way, it seems like they are stepping in their own shoes and like they can't get out of their own way. And this time they weren't involved. And I think I saw widespread recommendations from press, from influencers. The thing that I am most excited about, again, as somebody who's not buying one, I cannot tell you how many people that I followed for years on Twitter that I would say lean PlayStation's way say, oh, then I'll get both.
Absolutely.
That's a huge win for Xbox. That's a huge win for Xbox.
Number 2. It was the same thing with the Switch, with just fitting into people's lifestyle one way or another, whether it was price or just like back then everybody was traveling. So you hand a Switch to all these journalists who are playing these games on their flights from San Francisco to New York City and having this great time. I feel like this is also the type of box that they could ship to the Greg Millers, the Colin Moriartys of the world, the people who are PlayStation centric, and go like, it's pretty good. Like the majority of the games, this is the thing about the whole like exclusive argument. It's like 97% or 60% of
I think it's 85.
stats are made up on the spot. It's the thing I'm talking about here is most games are exactly. Most games are the same on both systems.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, Destiny 2, Watch Dogs 2, all the things like that you're gonna be playing, like Cyberpunk is all
Fortnite, FIFA,
the same.
Madden.
They're all the same games.
Yep.
I feel like that matters.
I said that. Well, I've actually been kind of counter-producing that argument, saying that like I do think it's a little. I've always said that I will buy a console for one exclusive if the exclusive is something I want to pay for. But it's funny because I've gotten a lot of flack for that. A lot of people have been like, "That's ridiculous," but then they kind of say the same thing now. There's a lot of PlayStation folks saying the same thing.
Exactly.
And I mean, the exclusive libraries for both console are very small, at least for me.
At this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're
so
very
what are you
small.
left with?
Right. So I think the differentiator. But anyway, back to my original point. If Xbox can be the secondary console, if Switch owners are looking at $299 and they're like, "Oh man, I can get Game Pass," if PlayStation folks are like, "I'll get both," I've even seen Xbox folks are like, "I was getting an X, now I think I'm gonna get an S too." Like they're gonna put an S in like another room. Or something.
Could see us doing that for sure.
I think it's very easy to say the Xbox Series S might outsell the X.
It's also a giftable thing. Like, I don't know if that's something that you considered as well, but I look at like my brothers and go like, I'd love to play more Xbox games with them.
About 6 episodes ago, I mentioned that if they could get near 250, that it becomes an impulse purchase. And Dev did not agree with me. But I think video game history has shown that when you can get hardware near 250, all of a sudden it becomes like a go-to holiday item.
It's so funny. It's so funny because the only thing missing from your argument there is if you said 250 and then said Door Crasher Black Friday, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Because people can picture that people go like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." I don't think people
are buying their nieces and nephews a $500 video game machine.
Absolutely not.
I have totally bought my nieces and nephews a $200 or $250 video game machine for Christmas.
I bought my parents a $200 X, like the tail end of the 360. I don't even know. I wanted them to have
a Wii U. I got my niece a 3DS when they were like $249, $99, the XL model with the game. Yeah, like once you get down there, it becomes more justifiable than $500. That's a lot. It's not insignificant amount of money. Like a lot of people have to plan to spend $500.
Yeah.
But 200-ish or a deal or 250 with a pack in or something like that. Like, and here's the thing, like we're talking about like, we're almost making a case to how cheap could you sell it this fall? It's going to sell out at $299 this fall, period.
Yeah.
What about next fall? When you can bundle it in with a game or you can do a doorbuster, or what about the fall after that? What about 3 falls from now?
Just wait until they do Cyberpunk on day 1 on Game Pass, man.
What if they actually cut it like 3 or 4 years from now? What if it's $199?
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, but that's not.
This is where they're starting.
That's not reality when they enter the market at $299. It's very possible.
I think the reality could be a little like I could see a new model next year where they've got a 1 terabyte model in there.
Yeah.
That's kind of where they started with
$249, $299. And then they start filling it in. But the reception I was blown away with.
Yeah,
and
great.
Our Discord lit up, my Twitter all day long. I've been having a blast trying to follow all the videos and everything. And it seems like I said it today. I wrote Xbox Team Xbox, and I was like, man, congratulations, you guys. Like, you guys struck a chord. Like, there's something about, I think it's the Game Pass, I think it's the offering and the price, but all together, there's a lot of people today that I did not expect I think Kevin, I love that Kevin, I feel like every time anything gets like trendy, Kevin's like immediate against it. Like, he always comes in, he's like,
of course.
But, and he said it today in the Discord. He's like, wait a second. So a console that nobody was excited about yesterday, everybody's excited for?
Price.
Yes. It's weird to say that because he's right. Nobody was excited about it when it was a rumor, but now that it's out there, like, there's a lot of excitement for this box. Man, I think it's going to outsell the other boxes.
That's what I've been trying to say this whole time about, like, they've been talking Series X as if
power.
It's not the leader, man.
This is matter.
It'll be interesting to see what the makeup of this is. Is it 70-30 kind of thing? Like, is it that skewed to be almost 3/4 like Series S?
I would love to know.
Really what they're going for?
I don't think Xbox will ever tell us, but I would love to know the breakdown on these because it's cliche to say in gaming podcasts, but I think it rings true for a lot of people. They look at there's a new generation of consoles coming out, and they go, okay, how much do they cost? It's usually number one. What exclusives do they have? And can I play the game that I want to play on that machine?
Yeah.
And for the majority of people, that is Grand Theft Auto or Fortnite or Call of Duty. And that's not me like speculating. That's facts. Those are sales numbers. Those games, Cyberpunk. Xbox has a pitch now that's like, oh man, they're going to throw Game Pass in there. Yeah. We don't know that, but we know it. Like, it'll be there. You'll get a month
included. You get
3 months or 6. I don't know how much, but Game Pass will be there. And they have a $299 next gen Cyberpunk option.
It's funny because I was looking at, like, I remember when the PS4 Pro came out, and I was frustrated with it because it was almost like almost false advertising. I felt where it's like it had 4K checked off. It had all these things that were like checked off and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but. And what I learned from that, as frustrated as I was, what I learned from that was people don't care. Like, there are people like us who will go into the Digital Foundry videos and get into the deep dive and stuff. But if they can legitimately put 120 frames per second, next gen gaming, fastest load times or faster load times, things like that, people will look at that, go $299, and they'll make their decision.
Yeah.
They really don't get much deeper than that.
If you're one of those people that are like, I just want to play Cyberpunk, I just want to play Call of Duty, I just want to play Madden, I just want to play Fortnite, and you look up at the shelf and you're like, well, I can do that for $299, or I can do it for $399.
Do you think $399 is going to be an option?
I think so. I don't know. We should talk about it. I mean, PlayStation will have to at some point announce prices. And
I don't think it's possible.
And then Xbox has to announce, the Series X, which we still don't know. I mean, by all accounts, everybody that reported this news and corroborate, they all say it's $499. Right. So I think we can agree and go on the fact that it's probably going to be $499, which is what I was expecting the whole time. Now, I expected the PlayStation 5 to come in at $399 and $499.
Wow.
But Tom Warren today threw me way off when he was like, I think the digital version of the PlayStation 5 is going to come in at $449 at the lowest. And I was like, wow.
Dude, so my guess before all of this was happening, disc PS5 $550, discless $499, because I feel like they really want to sell something at $499. I feel like that's the magic number here. $550 is kind of like, if you really, $550 feels like a bonus.
Would blow that out of the water. I don't think PlayStation can't do that.
See, this is okay. So this was what I was bringing up before. Is like, can they look at this and make a okay? So you're talking about $50 per unit times 10 million units.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know
it's a massive switch.
Well, this is the power. I love talking about this with Kyle a lot because Kyle has an intrinsic knowledge of PlayStation's back end. Like, I feel like I can usually do on like the Nintendo Microsoft side with the Game Pass. And it's been like this, this ship turn that Phil Spencer's been turning, right? He's been turning this ship for years. Microsoft is leveraging like all that they can do to like squeeze PlayStation on both ends.
Right.
PlayStation can't sell at the loss that Microsoft can sell. Now, that's not to say they won't, and that's not to say Microsoft is. Those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Just pointing out the realities of shareholders and earnings.
Yep.
They can't take a loss on PlayStation products. Why doesn't PlayStation now have day-and-date games like Game Pass? Because they need those games to sell money. Because that's how they make money.
Yeah.
Xbox.
It's a big deal to completely change your sales strategy like that.
Entire model.
The whole model's
and
out
the
there,
reason
and tried and true model, by the way.
The reason that you can subsidize Game Pass is because they opened up to PC. For all the people who are like, oh, you don't need to buy a thing. This is paying dividends.
Good point.
The people that are saying, like, that's the thing that I feel like a lot of people make these financial points with this one point, but they're without taking in the totality of what's happening.
I agree.
By opening up to Game Pass to PC, by putting their games in other markets, they are extending their earnings. That is subsidizing their hardware. That is subsidizing Game Pass. That's why they can have these models available for you.
All within Xbox.
Yeah,
it's not even just like the might of Microsoft.
And the thing with Game Pass that people are like, well, it's not profitable. You got to think about it. If you buy more than 2 Xbox games a year, you're getting a hell of a deal. But how many people signed up for Xbox that wasn't buying a game to begin with? But they're buying Game Pass now because it's a deal they can't miss, right? Where people who never were going to buy an Xbox now suddenly are on Game Pass, usually with PC, and what a wide base that is. So it's really like Microsoft is almost weaponizing like their ability of earnings to put pressure on PlayStation. And I think, I'm not saying they're winning, by no means. Look, I should correct myself. PlayStation's the market leader. They've got all the exclusive games. They have all the mind share. They're going to sell gangbusters. By no way am I saying doom and gloom at all. What I am saying is that Xbox, instead of trying to beat them at their game, Xbox has created their own game. And that game is putting pressure, I think, on PlayStation. And I think today's news is evident because, like I said, I saw countless amount of PlayStation folks that I have followed from Married to the Games days, from Kind of Funny days, for years. And they're all like, oh, I'm going to get both. And that can't be understated how important that is for Xbox. If they can, especially with a Halo delay, there's still people like, oh yeah, I'm going to get both.
That's
a week ago,
people aren't even talking about Halo.
Yeah, I know.
Today.
A week ago, people were like, there's no reason to have an Xbox. And then today they're like, oh, I'm going to buy the S model. That's how important price is.
Yeah.
Kevin and I have been talking about it for 2 months. Every time we talk about games and delays and power, I think Kevin and I do fundamentally agree on this. For the majority of people, price matters most.
Yeah,
it really does.
Absolutely. Of course. How can it not? People would be silly to suggest that it doesn't. It's the factor.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a big reason why PlayStation jumped ahead so far. Now, look,
big time.
Yeah, they put their foot down.
They doubled down on it.
Yeah, they put their foot down, and good for them. But this is crazy news. I didn't see this coming. Xbox has they have the hardware power. I don't want to say most powerful because that's still determined by the games and how the game designers make the games to prove that point. But they have a premium on par product at what I say is an affordable price. What you're getting in a Series X for $500 is bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. You're getting the GPU, the CPU, the new chip, the SSD. Like, it's crazy.
It all works.
It's a crazy value for $500. To replicate it in a PC space is
like,
double
I don't know what the games are. I don't know what the games are that are going to be coming that I'm like really excited about. Like, people have a case to be made for that. But we've talked about this before. When I upgraded to the One X, I'm like, this was worth it just for the games I had before.
Yep.
Let alone the games that are going to be taking advantage of this new hardware afterwards. So, like, to go from on November 10th, it seems like that's going to be the date, to swap out my One X for my Series X and go, like, the game I was playing yesterday looks and plays that much better today. Gears 5, they're talking about that going up to 120 hertz, things like that. Like,
I'm probably going
to not that I have a display that can play that. But, you know, like those, it's like the PC experience where you swap out your GPU and you put something else in. It's like, holy crap, blazing. Yeah.
Romaine in the chat, he says, I don't even own an Xbox One and I subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate.
Oh, for PC? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why for Ultimate, though.
Chase, again, Stadia Talks in our Discord this week on Stadia. He broke news to me today, and he has been a cloud gamer for the entire time I've known him, buying a Series S. He's all on board.
Yeah,
he loves the idea. He loves the price point. He's doing all access. He's $25 a month, and I get all.
There's only so long that people can say Game Pass. Like, people who aren't already subscribed to it, and they acknowledge best deal in gaming. I get it. I understand it. There's only so long that you can say that to yourself over and over and over again before you just jump in. before you actually experience
Well,
it.
I think you could set your foot down and be like, I'm not going to do this at all. Like, you could be dogmatic about it. But if you're actually open to having the conversation in your head about value, it's real hard to omit $2.99 in Game Pass. It's insane. It's insane value. And that's the other thing. I know this is cliche, but I've said it the whole time. You're going to buy the console and bring it home and plug it in and have games. You have new games to play. You can play the medium. You can play.
Seems to be daily with the new Destiny stuff that's happening, which is a big deal, at least for me. Like, I've been so confused about the whole stuff. I don't even know what I have for Destiny. So if I'm just like, if I have it on Game Pass, it's just like, I just know I've got cause I'm so stupid with that stuff. I just want to know I've got it. That's a big Destiny day and date is kind of a big deal as well.
I did see this today. Xbox alpha testers can now sign in on multiple devices, as many as you want. So you can sign on your phone, you can sign on your Xbox, you can sign on multiple things at one time. This is paving the way for their xCloud, paving the way for, what does this do for game sharing? I guess it's like one session at a time, but still, I wonder about that too.
I was listening to Major Nelson's podcast, and they've had a bunch of interviews going on, and they were talking about this feature a couple of weeks ago, I think, and they wanted to clarify that. Like, this doesn't mean that like two people can play the same game at the same time, but it does mean, Donnie, if you're playing a game and I don't know, Kevin or one of your kids like signs in under you, they can at least watch Netflix, and it's not going to boot you out of your game.
It's going to boot you out. That's beautiful,
right? That's the experience like previous. If somebody else were to sign in as you, you get booted out. But at least you can have like dissimilar services be still kind of captured under the same account.
More Xboxes if it worked like that. If like Jack could play a game and I could play games and we wouldn't constantly boot each other out and stuff like that. I think I would put an Xbox on every device, on every TV if I had that.
Right.
It's one of the big hurdles. It's like, well, why would I? Because we can't play at the same time anyway. It's kind of a bummer because there was a time where I was like, man, if me and Jack could play like Minecraft Dungeons together on different TVs, you know, like at the same time without having to buy the game and have him have his own account and his own services and stuff like that. And I know I talked to you about this before. When do we get to a point where we have like Game Pass for family, like a family plan, like a share plan, where you have multiple accounts that you can put on a plan, you can pay together or play together, things like that. Like everybody can have like a child account, like, you know, like one account or something like that to have local co-op options and things like that.
Big time. Yeah, I don't know. I should probably start learning about this as Lincoln and Ellie getting up there of like what I need to get them in terms of like a junior account or something that used to be a thing.
I always let them use my account, but because I'm not going to buy everything over again like twice. So I always do that. But it'd be nice if they could take that out of there. I think that'd be great. I haven't even looked at the time. We've been going for an hour. I did have this news story. It crossed my feed right as I was getting off the other show. I'm not sure if you saw it, Sean, that the 1 terabyte SSD expansion could be $220. So coming back to the memory talk, a lot of people are upset and they're like, well, what's the point of getting the console if the memory, if it's so expensive? Again, if you're worried about having all that memory, I don't think the S is like, I think you should buy the X. Like, I would push you to buy more memory.
It's funny because that's the thing about these different SKUs is there's always going to be a certain part of it that just makes the next side like a no-brainer. Like going up to Series X is like the memory pays for itself.
Yep.
Just about that 500 gigs, that extra that you're going to get on the Series X for sure. I feel like that's kind of like what many of us were expecting that memory to come in at.
I was expecting it to be expensive, especially, I'm not even going to lie, especially when I saw the news last night. When I saw Series S, I was like, that thought crossed my mind. I was like, ooh, that expansion's probably, they're probably going to try to make a little bit more back on that than other things.
See, I wouldn't count on that for it, only because Seagate is like really it's separate. Like there's kind of like that profit sharing that's happened between Seagate and Microsoft. I just feel like it's all contained within the money that Xbox makes off of every sale, the 30% cut they take off of every game that's sold on the store.
Yep.
The all the things, the entire ecosystem. I feel
all
like
of this is aimed at that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
All of it.
Yeah.
Everything that Xbox is doing is trying to carve more of that 30% back. All of it.
That's
Game
true.
Pass, the
Good point.
Console, everything. It's all aimed at, we need more of that 30%. We had more of it last gen, and we lost it, and we need it back. They're trying to buy market share. And I think they're doing a good job.
So do you think there's still more that they've got to do at this point? It seems like most of the cards are laid out.
They need games.
Series S.
They still need games.
$499. Yeah.
It's going to be, look.
But for launch, I mean, like, is there anything else they can do at this point? Like
they could
do we know everything there is to know?
They could. Ooh. No, I don't think we know everything. Like, there are Game Pass announcements that they can make.
I agree.
Yeah, we know that they have something. Like, that's been corroborated by almost every insider that I follow. They have a Game Pass announcement to make. A lot of people have said it's something to do with EA. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a partnership with another game. We were floating around in the Discord earlier this week that maybe Dirt 5 could launch in a Game Pass.
I agree. Yep, I feel like that's almost like not surprising.
Like with, it wouldn't surprise me either, but like with Halo moving, they're all of the power like shifts to Xbox to make sure that they have something to kind of fill the gap. Nothing can fill the gap, but to have an offer to bridge the gap, I guess, is a better.
I can hear Kevin just in my mind, like, nobody cares about Dirt 5. I can hear him like, you know, like that wouldn't quite do it. Like,
I like that he keeps me grounded. I think he does, because it stops me from like getting all Nintendo Shack and just running away with it. I like he's always skeptical, but I don't like that he's always like, I don't think he'd be as skeptical if he was on a PlayStation show, I guess is the better way of putting it. But I like that he brings like that cross examination to the Xbox empire. I think if anything, I always say it, I think I've told them this privately, it's like an iron sharpens iron thing. If anything, it keeps me on my game. Like when I show up to podcasts, I show up ready to go.
Squadrons would be cool. Squadrons, I think, would be a big deal. Star Wars, I think that's maybe as big as maybe we can hope.
Madden.
I mean, obviously, I've been out there very loud and obnoxious about Cyberpunk.
It's not gonna be Cyberpunk. That's too big.
I know it'd be amazing. It's just that would be the winner. That would be the winner. Yeah, it's not too much. It's perfect.
It's way too much. And they're not gonna do Call of Duty or anything like that. I think EA Access joining Game Pass makes a lot of sense. I think the Ubisoft games are too much. I
just see both those teams doing their own thing, which kind of has me a little bit of pause, even with the Squadron suggestion. That like they're going to have their own kind of push for EA Play or whatever they're calling that now. Uplay Plus has got their whole thing, and like I just don't know that there's going to be too much crossover. I think they'll still be friendly with one another, but I'm not sure about like day and date type of stuff.
Oh no. Yeah, and I think the Ubisoft games are too big. Like I'm trying to be practical, but I think a Game Pass announcement or 2 or 3, maybe some indie games, some other things to show up. I think all of that can still come. I don't think they have anything else hardware-wise. I will not believe the Series X digital thing until it's confirmed. I've seen it rumored a lot. I wanted to acknowledge it. It is out there. There are prominent people. There are popular people that are saying it's a thing. It's not like a Reddit guy that nobody's ever heard of. There are the biggest podcast in the world is saying that it's a thing. I don't know.
But that's interesting.
I think if it was a thing, judging by how much we've known of Xbox is leaked, I feel like we would know it's a thing, but you know what? I said that on Shaq last week about November, and they launched damn new Zelda game today. So, like there's some things we just don't know. So I wouldn't rule it out, but this is crazy. Let's get into. Do you have anything else? Any other points?
No, man. Let's keep going. No, I could go on about
questions.
All things.
I got all kinds of questions. I may have to log into the Discord to get them all. I think this came from Q. I didn't write anybody's names down. Sorry, guys. I was rushing to even get here. As we wrap up this console generation, I think it's safe to say that Xbox Game Pass was the revolutionary product that made Xbox a great place to play. We can't compare it with the leaps and bounds in online multiplayer of the 360 generation. So my question is this. Where do we see Xbox headed next? What's Phil's next big play? Is it total cross-platform play? Is it something else? What do we think his big play is for this upcoming console generation? I feel like I have a really good answer if you need a moment to think.
Well, my first comment is just like, can they just have this for now? Like, is this not enough? Are you not entertained? Forward. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just finally starting to work. I feel like this is the thing.
Our first question on Shaq last week was when was the next direct?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's we're, you know what, if Phil can turn Xbox fans into Nintendo fans in the way that they react and crave and buy it all up, mission accomplished.
He's done it here. He's done it to this gamer. Okay. I will pull a previous said thought from the This Week on Stadia, and I'll say that I think xCloud is the next big thing.
Of course, I feel like they've already kind of put that out there.
But the leg up that Xbox has that I don't think the majority of people even know yet is that because of the way it's integrated into Game Pass and because the way they'll make it available for PC and they're going to make it available on Xbox consoles, the way that people will be introduced to it gives them such a leg up on any other cloud provider until further notice. It's basically a Trojan horse. They're not telling you have to have it. They're not making you pay extra for it. They're not doing anything. They're literally like, yeah, that's a thing you can try. And I think as the years come and go, they will integrate that more. And I can't, there's that moment in my mind where Stadia gets announced and I look at my Twitter and everybody hates Stadia. Mm-hmm. And I can't help but think how different it's going to be when somebody just tries xCloud because they can, because they're reminded, like one day they're like, hey, you can play xCloud. And you're like, oh yeah, I will download that on my phone. And then you start playing it and you're like, yeah, this totally works. It's like such a huge shift in mindset and onboarding from the other thing. It's not like...
it's the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, get rid of your console and start over all over here and you're through the internet. Like, it's all different. It's different. They're like, no. We want you to buy the console. You can do that if you want. And it's that side, it's that nonchalant way of introducing to people. And an analogy that I used earlier is it reminds me so much of gamers and their adoption of digital games. When that came out, it was
digging
huge.
Their heels in. Yeah,
nobody wanted. How dare you take my physical games away? Disc in box. And now over 50% of games are digital. Yeah, and it just took years. It just took time. And I think Xbox has a huge advantage with where they are, with it built into Game Pass, with it having all of your purchases. Yeah, they're just there. You don't have to buy anything. You just you want to play Gears from your phone? Yeah, you can. That's crazy.
To that point, that really speaks to, like, I guess my side of the answer is really this, the argument that Xbox versus PlayStation believes in generations. And I believe that the thing that will win out is what Xbox is banking on, that generations are old school. You don't want that break in generations. And that where you're going to see this actually play out and manifest is in 2 years when your all access is done. Guess what? There's going to be another console for you to sign up for. It's going to be a little bit more powerful. You're going to roll right into that. And they're going to adopt the Apple model of things where it's this entire I've got my watch, I've got my phone, I've got my iPad, I've got all my things. And on Xbox, it'll be on my PC, it's on my console, it's on my phone. It's everywhere. And I can't escape it. And they're going after a lifetime gamer.
It's like,
and I feel like when you go after a lifetime gamer, how can you cut off from generation to generation?
They're making the case for why not more than why. It's just like, why not? You have to.
Well, it's like it takes a decision out of it. Yeah. Like it takes even the choice, like just go get the next one.
Yeah.
Like that's what everybody does with their phones. I just feel like it's so obvious to me.
I've been there with Game Pass for years. Like I'm signed up for years. It's like, hey, Donnie, which console are you getting?
That tap off.
It's
imagine
like, that. That's not happening. That's non-existent. Like it's not up for debate. And not everybody's going to be me, of course. But the more that you get exposed to it, the higher the chances that you do. Because eventually, again, with Game Pass now, it's so cheap. Eventually, I think they'll have to upgrade the price. But
what if they actually land this whole thing that everybody says is missing? What if they get the games? What if they get an Uncharted caliber thing? And it's not even that it has to be that single player narrative type of thing.
Right.
But I would love to see. I think I was talking about this on stream last night. I would actually really like to see Gears or Halo is kind of going to be doing this anyways in this like open world, like shared universe type of thing. I think that would be awesome. Like Jason and I were playing Division yesterday. And of course the cover based shooter type of thing is very comparable to Gears. Like I would love Gears / the Division style type of thing. This is big world. I could do all these missions with all my friends and like these set pieces. I think the Division is an excellent game. And I'd love to see that model in some of the first party stuff. And I feel like that might be what we see with this whole like Perfect Dark universe coming out of the coalition. I feel like that I put my money on that it's going to lean multiplayer. It's going to lean like games of service. It's going to lean
I was
big and long term.
The absolute opposite. I was expecting single player,
the Sony game,
narrative focused, Splinter Cell, third person stealth.
God, I hope not. I really hope not. But when I hear quadruple A,
that's the thing. They don't have it.
I think like Destiny had that big number that came out a long time ago, $500 million to make.
Halo is the game that you're pitching. That's what Halo is supposed to be.
But it still seems single player ish. It still seems like you're doing that like as a Master Chief alone.
But I think
and then a traditional kind of multiplayer thing
is a whole separate thing.
Yeah. Well, maybe they bank again. Like maybe that's the first of a few. Like that could be their stable of experiences. I could definitely see that.
The games are the biggest part. Like there's no like if
all I'm trying to say is like, what if they start to get these games that are like 10s? Like whatever style of game it is, like what if they get these games that are like universally praised? Because that seems to be what everybody is saying they're missing.
Yeah.
So they've got everything else. They've got price.
People want
Xbox
Game Pass to make a Game of the Year contender, and it can't be Halo, Gears, or Forza because those people that want that from Xbox,
man. I know
they don't want it to be one of those games.
Forza's so good.
Forza's amazing.
But you know, Animal Crossing people are screaming the exact same thing now because people like me will turn my nose up against it and be like, "No, not eligible."
Yep.
And I say that totally joking. Like I think the case could be made.
Dude, I heard the same thing with Fall Guys.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to listen to Fall Guys. Like, dude, it's an amazing game. Like, everybody's playing. It's so super fun.
Yeah, totally.
But no, yeah, that's a whole separate argument. But
yeah,
Xbox needs. It's still going to be rocky. Like, I'm not letting that go. Like, they are not prepared for like launch in a way that I was hoping. Right. I was thinking we get Halo and then Psychonauts and then Forza like mid next year. And then we'd hear from Gears at E3 and there's something out in the fall like Hellblade. It was next fall. And it's like all of that is 2 years away. It's all so far away. I think it's going to be hard because as much as I don't do this, I mean, I see it on Reddit. I see it on Twitter. People care about exclusives. Like they make it. They're like, all right, what exclusive does this box have that I can't play somewhere else? And I will pick that box. That's a thing. Yeah. And you know what? I know. Credit Sony for conditioning them to think that way. Yeah. Because they have.
And Nintendo.
And Nintendo. Absolutely. And Nintendo. Sure. Good correction. Absolutely Nintendo. That's been Nintendo's game from the beginning. Yeah. You can only play Mario here.
The name of the game is the game.
Yep. It is the games. It is all about the games. Now, I think Xbox is doing an incredible job at pushing value. And I love value. I think everybody does. Like, I love value. And Xbox is doing a great job there. But they will eventually need the games to hit. And it's just a shame that... Because you could have seen a world where if Halo had hit, if it had been Halo again, oh, this could have been a smashing success.
I know. It was like on paper, you put that plan on paper, like, yeah, that's the one. That's the one I put my money on. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. And I still say it. I will never back down. I liked what I saw from Halo when I saw it.
Same here.
Watch me on Twitch, on YouTube, reacting to it
I know,
live.
that's the thing. Everybody should really look at themselves and go, like, what was my real reaction? Like, it looked fun.
Everybody did. Kevin, Josh, we were all together. I was like, this looks awesome. They all said the same thing. But if you listen to, I guess, like the Twitter reactions, you'd think it looked like a DOS game or a Flash game or something. It's like, come on, guys. It's not, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, well,
it's pretty good.
It's it's like when your captain goes down and it's time for your supporting players to come on up and step up, score some points. So we'll see what else comes. Like, because Halo will be great. That's the thing is like when it comes out, they won't let it come out and be bad. It will be a very good game when it comes out. Whether or not it happens anytime soon, I think is the only question that I have. Yeah. Is like, is that a January game or is that next fall? And I could see it being next fall.
I can think of when I want to say it's in the middle.
Yeah. Depending on what Nintendo's doing too.
I told Rand, I was like, how much can they actually do to this game to appease the critics in 6 months? If they delay. Like, I don't think so. But I keep coming back to the idea that this game was never meant to be finished on launch. It was going to be a platform, and you can launch a platform and you can keep adding to it. And Destiny, and like there's a lot of cases of that being made. So I think if they can get the game with like ray tracing, right? Ray tracing should have been in the damn game because you built the whole damn console around it. So the idea that you're going to launch it without it was kind of asinine. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah,
it's like, guys, you can't put it on the box if the game doesn't put it in the game. Like, it's kind of stupid. So you put ray tracing in it and you update the lighting, throw some more textures to it, and you release it and you get it out and you just work on it from there. I don't think that's what people want to hear. I think your point just being made. I don't think people want to hear that. They want to hear this is the best game we've ever made and we're launching it.
Yeah.
Man, God, we could do a whole podcast on this topic. I think if you're looking for the ultimate reason to buy an Xbox Series X out of Halo Infinite, I think that game's years away. Because I don't think this game was made to be that game. This game was made to run on multiple consoles and be multi-platform and free to play across all kinds of stuff. It's not going to be Ratchet and Clank. Let's show you why your investment is great. It was never intended to be that game. It was intended to be awesome Halo.
I don't know. I mean, I get it, but I don't know how much I can really stand beside that thing. I feel like it should. I feel like it should scale. And I think that's the thing.
But that takes time. That's the problem.
Yeah, it takes time. This is where Kevin would say they've had time.
No, they have. Oh, no. I said that. What have you been doing for 5 years? No,
somebody said, and this is
that's a 343 issue. 100%. They should have been ready.
I've heard this very publicly. Like people have come out with these stories about how disruptive the TV show was, And a lot of people, it just seems that like nobody's really reporting on that. When they talk about this conversation, like what happened to Halo Infinite, the TV show they've made it pretty clear that was so disruptive to the entire studio, just splitting. Like you can imagine, like how it's the same like core people. You've got this next generation game that's like, you better make this amazing, and also a TV thing. No. Yeah.
I just think if you were looking for a game that was solely built for this one console spec to push it to its ultimate limits, that Halo Infinite wasn't meant to be that when they started developing it.
So for me, that's disappointing, especially if Forza wasn't going to be there to be that.
I get it.
I feel like I'm with people. I get it. That is disappointing.
No, I get it.
But I was, like I said,
I'm just trying to point out what I think is versus, like, I'm with you. Like, I feel like that's the point that I never make. Yeah, I want it to be awesome. Like, I wanted Hellblade. I thought Hellblade was that game.
Isn't it amazing that we're like, okay, what's the best looking next gen game? And it's Ratchet and Clank. Like, come on, you guys. This is where Nintendo goes like, this is why we don't even bother. Like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe looks awesome.
I think Ratchet looks amazing, but
I do think it looks amazing.
It is a good point.
But that's what we're hanging our hat on, is Ratchet and Clank. Like, and it's nothing against Ratchet and Clank. I don't know. I feel like we could be better than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's one of the hard sells with this next gen is it's not visually evident, and it likely won't be. Like even 5 years from now, it's not like we're gonna be like, oh, it's a whole new generation of graphics. No, it'll be 4K. We have 4K now. Like it'll look better. Trust me. Like the hair will be better. You'll see more threads in the shirt, but it's not like, oh my God, look at this new gen. I think that's the hardest sell. I think that's the hardest sell with this entire pitch, the whole thing. That's why I think the quality of life improvements would be the sell.
I agree.
That's going to take people seeing and believing before they spend $500. I see a lot of people thinking,
and price. What,
load times? I'll pay $500 for less load times. I'd rather wait.
Pay $299.
There you go. More questions. With Xbox Series S coming in at $299 or $25 a month, Microsoft has made this the cheapest entry point to next gen. Will this be enough to push fence sitters towards Xbox? Also, do you think they should put in a year of Game Pass?
Should they put in a year of Game Pass? I think a year's too much. I think that's way too much.
When Halo was delayed, my initial response is you throw a year of Game Pass in to make up for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Let me make my case, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The reason that I think that is, unlike going out and trying to pay for Cyberpunk and paying somebody else, Microsoft eats that cost themselves. They're just taking money out of their own pocket. I just thought it'd be convenient and easy, and it would be value. I would love if every Xbox Series whatever came with a year of Game Pass. I think that's the best way to set it. I also told Kevin, like, there's a difference when you give somebody 30 days and then you remind them to cancel, and if you give them like 6 months or a year and they just never cancel.
I like the 3 months for, was it 3 months for $1 or $1 for $1 for a month? I like that kind of stuff. I don't think you have to. This is the thing that I kind of get disappointed in when we chat about Xbox a lot, is like they've done such a great value off. They've done a great job offering value that it actually has devalued the entire thing. That everything is free, nothing is really worth paying for. And it's like, I'm not necessarily sure that that's the case either. Like giving away a year of, like, what is that? It's $15 a month times 12 months. It's like, that's a lot. It's a lot of cash.
Yeah.
And it's like, they've kind of already done that. And just for Halo, I think is,
a year.
That's too much. I think that's too much.
Okay.
They get 3 months.
I think you're right,
but I think like habitually locked in.
I think that's cheaper than getting Cyberpunk into Game Pass. I think it's way cheaper. I don't think you can get Cyberpunk into Game Pass if you go to them.
But you people, I think the outcome is different. If you put Cyberpunk into Game Pass, yes, it's going to cost more. There's no doubt about it. But that sells systems, and that has people buying into Game Pass. Then you sell systems to then have paying customers, instead of not having Cyberpunk into Game Pass, not having Halo, and going, we'll offer you this year of Game Pass for a thing that you actually didn't really see as valuable to begin with.
Good point.
I feel like those are two totally different conversations and situations.
That's a good point. I was just trying to find something they could do quick. Because
good point. No, absolutely.
You're right.
You and I were just going to balance on like what's the right number of months.
Sure.
Because like I could see them doing that, but I don't think 12 is the right number. I'm somewhere between 3 and 6.
Also, the $1 for 3, like that doesn't apply to people that already have it.
Right.
So it's like value loss from like your core base that are buying day one, because likely they already have it. So I think you'd want to add something in for them.
Yeah.
Put something in for them. And like I said, it's going to be a rough launch. Like it's going to be a rough first year, I think. Like I think we're looking at a Wii U type first year. with a software drought on the first party. Now, thankfully, we seemingly have tons of third-party games coming. So,
yeah.
they can...
big time. And that's why I would rather them do, like, when Halo does launch, I'd rather them do something then.
That's
like,
a good
maybe
point.
Maybe they do a year of Game Pass then, or something else, like, at that point to say, sorry it took so long. Here's something. I don't even know what it is. Like some like Game Pass package or something.
And I mean, I guess I could also say that, I mean, they could be ramping up to make sure that Gears Tactics is there. They could have an exclusive or two show up. I don't
Gears
think
Tactics.
I don't think Flight Sim could be ready. That's just
I wonder. That was the other thing that I was going to say, but who knows? And
it
also,
doesn't look ready for controller as is, let alone on a console.
I agree.
I
totally agree.
I don't think that could be it, but I think they could get Gears Tactics. Probably lines up well, and maybe they've doubled down on it since Halo. Like maybe they're like, November. Hey guys.
Well, and I don't know how much more they can really highlight the whole Destiny partnership, but I feel like that's kind of special too. Like that can almost you almost would have had Halo and Destiny kind of side by side, both on Game Pass, and now it's like maybe they can do like hype this Destiny 2 on a Series X or Series S.
Does that do anything for you? That does zero.
I'm in
on
Destiny. For me. I'm totally in on. Well, and it's funny because like you're not really a Halo guy or a Destiny person, but it's kind of like if Halo was going to be like the chosen child, like we'll give this a shot.
I was going to be there day one, and I was going to play with you guys and try. But Destiny, I'm like, no. I've tried.
I don't know. I like Destiny a lot.
Okay, I know a lot of people do.
I've played it for hours.
Yeah, it's a big AAA game. I just feel like anybody that has it already has it.
Well, and it's this is so stupid, but it's like it's less about the game itself, but more about like Bungie and Microsoft. Like, how can they romanticize that? Being friends again, exactly. So that can maybe take a spotlight where it would have been completely subdued if Halo was still happening. They can reposition things that were already happening as being a bigger deal than they would have because they would have. They're telling a totally different story. They've got different protagonists. They got different stories to tell.
It's a good point.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Destiny's too old at this point. I have no idea.
I got two questions about gameplay, so I'll just read the one. David wants to know, do you think the reason why we haven't seen gameplay of the Series X yet, he mentions price. This came in before we got the news. The reason why we haven't seen gameplay of Series X yet is because Xbox might delay the console. Yeah, I don't think
There's no way.
There's no delay. This is locked in. It's November 10th. Go ahead and save your money. Pre-orders should open soon.
Take time off. That's the biggest thing for me. I'm taking vacation November 10th. A couple
days
off
COVID,
after that.
I won't have that option, but I would like to. I'd like to be there. But David, I will say that we have seen gameplay of Series X. The Medium release gameplay, I believe Call of the Sea release gameplay, and I believe Haven released like 30 minutes of gameplay directly off Series X.
The first thing we saw was that Bright Memory game.
Was that running on console or was that running on PC?
That was on console, and we both, I think, played it on PC. I thought it was
PC
couldn't
couldn't run it in 4K and all that, so I think that's
it looked good. Yeah. So you're right. We have seen gameplay. Could we see more? Definitely.
Yeah.
We saw Assassin's Creed.
Tons.
We've seen Watch Dogs.
And we saw State of Decay and Sea of Thieves and Gears 5 too, if you want to throw them in there. I know nobody wants to say that, but all of those are getting updates. Forza Horizon 4 is getting updated. Ori's getting updated.
Yep.
Like all these games are getting next-gen updates. Nobody wants to hear that, though, when they buy a new box. They don't play old games. I might legit play Gears 5 again.
That's the thing about these games that are launching in the holiday season. Like, people don't really think of them as next-gen because they're not exclusive to next-gen.
Yeah.
But I definitely think of, like, Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed and those games and Cyberpunk as next-gen games.
I mean, there'll be ultimate versions of those games for sure.
Yeah.
They may not be pushing it as far as it possibly can. No launch game ever does.
Yeah.
Word to the wise, neither will Ratchet.
There's more games than I can afford. I put it that way.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. That's, ultimately, and it feels like such an excuse. I hate saying it, but it's just true. The whole thing about the Halo thing, it's like, I was playing Cyberpunk anyway.
Yeah.
I told you that when we talked about it.
I might still be playing Wasteland, dude.
During the show. With Halo's announcement, when everybody was excited or angry, you were like, oh, man, I'm so excited for Halo. And I was like, the only thing that was going to get me playing it was everybody else playing it. So, but
everybody else would have been. That's really what I was excited about. Is that like you could picture around the world people just like on all their devices, on their PC, on their Series X, Series S, Xbox One.
There's a realistic part of me that's kind of glad that it's not, because I was probably gonna not play it for Cyberpunk anyway.
I'm great for delays, man.
Because I probably would have jumped into Halo for like, what, 3 or 4 days, and then I would have done the same thing I've done with every one of those games. I would have, all right, guys, I'm going to go play Cyberpunk now for 80 hours, and I'll see you guys in December.
Yeah. I just want to see, like I said at the top of the show, I want to see Digital Foundry and these guys get their hands on some of this stuff.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see what the raw output of the Series S is compared to the raw output of the Series X. If it does have 4-scale, or 4K upscaling, checkerboarding, whatever, I would love to see them side by side, because if it does upscale, it might not be that different. And there's like and if that's the case, you even like, well, why is anybody buying the X? If you can get really close with the S.
Big time, man.
They've really nailed it. Like this is very
or
exciting.
Even streamers too. Like how many people are streaming at 4K? I can't.
Yeah,
I don't have a 4K capture card.
We stream in 720 always.
I mean, that even just for content creators.
Nathan wrote in and he says, how about giving Microsoft a hand on how they've handled the leak? Their social media team went on the offensive. They adopted. By the time they woke up, they had already pushed the official announcements.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of ran through the timeline. It was amazing. I feel like there's so many mistakes that could have been made considering how it all happened. Middle of the night, you have to imagine phone calls happening, approvals that are happening from this person to the social media manager to push out even that tweet that we talked about, and then to you got us. Here's the deal, and then they just rolled out there. They probably would have had to like. I'd love to see the originally scheduled tweet pop out like 4 days later. And here it is. It's like oh shit, we forgot to remove it. Yeah, exactly. But they basically had to like do it in the middle of the night. Like, and I thought it was excellent. And to the reason I say it's excellent is to your point earlier. The outcome is positive. Everybody loves it.
Super positive.
They get it. It's also, by the way, super clear.
Yeah,
everybody understands what this thing is, how much it costs, why you would buy it, how big it is.
It didn't need to be hyped up. It didn't need to be explained. It was like, look, you can play next gen game at $299, and people are excited about that. And they were first. They were first with price, and that does capture some mind share. Like you're getting everybody talking about it now. Now all the pressure's on Sony to reciprocate. Now everybody's like, okay, Sony, now what's your excuse?
Yeah,
Xbox has finally done it. Like, what are you going to do now?
Now it's just a matter of when can I pre-order one? When can I actually start to put my money where my mouth is?
It's got to be soon. It's got to be soon. But I feel like I've been saying that for 3 months. But I mean, at this point, it's got to be soon. Like, I wonder what the last day they could possibly like realistically open. I would have to think it'd be like early October. Like, no bones about it. Like, you've got to have pre-orders going by like October. If
you have any hopes, and this is
like a month in advance.
The race of it. It's compared to PlayStation and vice versa. Like how much lead time can you have? I feel like it's at this point, price is out there. Now get people like putting their money down, claim the wallets at this point, because Sony's kind of reeling at this point. I feel
you had excitement today. People wanted to buy them and you couldn't. And you know what? I said the same thing about PlayStation 5 back in June. When they did their thing, they had excitement. They could have taken pre-orders right then and they would have gotten a ton of them. Millions people would have signed up to buy them, and they didn't. And now you're risking that they'll all be there again. Again, we both know that all of the launch allotment's going to sell out. But the question is interest. You have a large amount of interested parties trying to get it. At $299, I think that thing's going to sell fast. Whether we would get it or anything, like it's just price at that point. At that price, it's going to sell quickly. Yeah. I think next gen hype is going to make it sell out like that. And then as restocks come through the holidays, it's going to keep flying off the shelves. I can't.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like I keep walking myself in circles. I can't reiterate how surprised and just kind of caught off guard I think I am the fact that Xbox went this route. We've had so many people for so long talk about launching different SKUs into console generations and, the X versus the S. And like you saw the damn Kotaku headline today is ridiculous. And I think Xbox just, man, they killed it today. Like this announcement is so good for them. And like they're proving it's like, no, we have different customers and we're going to sell to both of them.
Yep.
And we're not going to like jeopardize anything in the process of doing that. We've got customers that, that want, they want access. They want Game Pass, and we got customers, they want to push the edge, and we've got something for both of them. That's big time.
It's fun again. Finally, it's fun again.
It is fun again. You're right. It is fun again.
Things have been kind of crappy for the last couple of weeks.
It has been.
Like a lot of bad news.
It's like this, like we're limping into the launch. It's just like, oh god, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah.
But no, this is gonna be good. Like tons of people are gonna buy these things. Just play Fortnite on them, I guess.
Good point.
With ray tracing,
right? Or Minecraft.
All right, I think that does it for all the questions. And if it doesn't, I'm sorry if I missed you out. But I got Nathan, got Lobo, got everybody that's in the chat. I think, yeah, that's gonna do it. That'll do it for this week on us on an emergency broadcast over here on the Xbox Empire as we wrap up the news of the Xbox Series S leak and actual announcement. Sean, would you please let those in the Xbox Empire that don't already know where they can follow you and listen to all of the amazing things that you do?
Yeah, man. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Capri. It's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. And, on Thursdays are a great day for podcasts because typically the Xbox Empire drops, but also the Xbox Drive, my Xbox podcast that I do with my good friend Ryan Turford. He's the man on the moose. We do a bit of a slightly different kind of take on it, 30 to 40 minutes. I drive in my car. Maybe you guys have heard of it before.
Get some coffee.
But I would love it. I definitely order a little decaf, maybe get a drink for my wife. Yeah, man, check it out. The Xbox Drive. It's amazing, dude. I feel like you and I are both in the same boat. A lot of new listeners have been coming into, I think, just Xbox podcast land as of late. We've definitely seen a surge of new listeners. I think the show has seen the same, and it's awesome. It's so much fun because we've been, at least for the Xbox Drive, we've been doing this since before Game Pass was a thing.
Yep.
We reported on Game Pass, and it's like things have changed since 2017, my friends.
Doesn't it
it's
feel
been
like
an awesome ride?
A lot of people are finally like the clouds, the smoke is cleared.
Well, now everybody else is coming up with an Xbox podcast.
Well, the folks, not just the podcast. I'm talking about like just the general consumer. Do you think a lot of people like last gen they made their bet and they went that way, and now here's the new gen, so they're coming up for air and they're like, oh, what's this Game Pass about? Like what's you
can't ignore it.
I can get $25 and that's kind of nuts.
The best part about it is that anytime anybody says anything in a PlayStation conversation, they talk about PS Now. Game Pass is part of that conversation because Game Pass is so good. So Game Pass is actually, because it's so great, you can't talk about PlayStation Now without going, yeah, but Game Pass. That's powerful stuff, man.
Yeah, no, it really is.
It's fun. It's a fun time to be talking about Xbox. Good time to be launching a podcast or launching a console, and talking about it, and just buying it on day one. I cannot wait, dude.
It's gonna be exciting. What are you gonna play first?
I have no idea, dude. I don't know, man. I just can't wait. This is the thing. Like, I just want to get my plan laid out. And this is a question I'm gonna have for Ryan, I think, as well. What would you have done this entire time if you knew the price? We've all been screaming, they've got to give us a price. They've got to give us a price. How could they not give us a price? Now we know. And it's like, what if you had this information 4 months ago? Does that change anything? Is this okay? Is this an okay way to launch a console?
I actually think it does change some things for some people, not for everybody. But we've Josh, for example, had some house stuff. He had some life stuff happen where he had to spend some money, and he used his little savings stash for next gen. He was like, I don't know how much I need. For next gen, so I'm just going to use this and hope for the best. But I mean, I've said it's my argument to that is it's not really an argument. We've known the price. We've known. It's just like when you've heard me on Shaq, we knew what Nintendo had all year long. We knew, like back to March, we knew. They didn't announce it, but we knew. And I kind of feel like the price the whole time. It's like we know it's 500, it's 500-ish.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be way off. They're not gonna be like $7.99. Like, we know.
Get a second job.
Right. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed listening. Make sure you subscribe and check out the Xbox Drive with Ryan and my good friend Sean Capri. And that'll do it for this week in the Xbox Empire. Hope you enjoyed the early show. I'll be back next week with Kev, and I'm sure he'll give me all the what's what about all the things I said about him on this show. That's what happens, Kev. You weren't here.
God.
Good night.